Somewhere, deep in the Ozark woods, lurks the two people everyone tries to avoid the most. If you're not careful, they may find you before you find them.
24 minutes ago, Santa Inc. has finished Woke Disaster for Seth Rogen and Sarah Silverman. This is a joke too. These leftist uh, entertainers, they live in their own little fantasy world, and
Your couch blanket is not an adventure blanket.
get upset when
This
the rest
blanket
of the
is
world
supposed to.
doesn't want to be part of their fantasy. Seth Rogen did some good things at one time early in his career. I guess I saw some stuff I liked him in, but what makes people think that just because they're good at one thing, that makes them uh, 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 authorities on everything else? You know, he was a reasonably funny actor. You know, he wasn't a great actor. He was a reasonably funny actor, reasonably funny comedian. You know, I'd rather, at one time, I would have rather watched him than poke myself in the eye. But what makes him think that he's now is qualified to be a social justice warrior or anything? I just stay in your lane, people. Stay in your lane. Yeah, when I was teaching, that would have been awesome. I'm gonna go check this soup. Make sure I got this setting right. I don't want this thing to burn out and me be in trouble. I'll be back in a bit, and then we'll watch this. All teachers should be held accountable by the taxpayer. I've actually got some thoughts on what should be being done in these schools. And so hold on. We get back. Let me go check this soup so I don't get in trouble. Love you guys. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Soup's good. Grandma's sleeping. Everything's good. I got a window opened up, so I got a little natural light coming in here. Turn off some of these other lights. We're still getting this set up. We got, we're gonna take this tabletop out, so she's got more room, and then we'll put it over here, so she had something to put her laptop, and she's gonna, while I'm over here recording, the plan is she'll sit over there and edit. So we can start getting this stuff. I think we've got close to 20 hours so far this week recorded. We got to go through and edit down, and then we've got a whole bunch of shorts. I think we got like Grandpa's dirty shorts off the floor. I don't know. I don't know. Something like that's going to be. Anyway, let's get this. All teachers should be held to account by taxpayers. This is Turning Point UK, uh, December 11th. That was today. It's already got 4,000 views and 95 comments. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think should be done in schools. That I know that like the schools that I've been with, that I've worked for, that I've attended, and that the kids have attended, the grandkids have done. All these schools have a closed circuit TV set up, and they generally have a broadcast channel it's generally on a public broadcast network where they can broadcast. They broadcast their basketball games, for sporting events, plays, whatever. They can broadcast these closed circuit TV. You can access this at home. We've done it. Watch stuff at home, especially with the COVID. The school was teaching. Uh, the kids were home anyway, so we can watch the schoolrooms from home. There should be a TV camera in every room with sound, and it should be patched in to the CCTV system, And the parents at home should be able to go to the TV, pull up their whatever channel they're broadcasting to, and should be able to go in and punch in the room numbers that they want the cameras activated, and they can come up split screen, multiple screens, whatever, and there should be a camera in every classroom. And the parents can sit at any time and click that on and see what's going on in the classroom. I was a teacher. I'd had no problem with it because I wasn't embarrassed of anything. I wasn't afraid of anything. I wasn't teaching my students something that they shouldn't be taught, you know. So I think that's what should be done. And then there's not eliminate a lot of this bullshit about parents all of a sudden not know what's going on in the classroom. You know what's going on, or at least you should. And there's no reason why you shouldn't now. All you got to do is go up there and you, these parents that sit around on their ass on the sofa, feeding their face with their kids at school and not doing anything anyway. They can go in there and instead of watching Days of Our Lives or whatever the fuck they're watching, Wheel of Fortune, they can go in and turn on the TV and watch the kids, see what's going on, make sure their kids not misbehaving. And then when they're going home, they ask the kid, well, what went on with school today? And the kid starts telling them, and remember, hey, look, remember, I can watch you. I know what's going on. I saw what you were doing. So no, that's what should be done. That's my opinion. That's my one of my solutions. There's more solutions than that. There's more things that need to be implemented. We have problems with teachers. The we have the wrong people educating our children. They're doing it for the wrong reason. Just like there's a lot of people in politics are there for the wrong reason. A lot of police officers are there for the wrong. This is I spent the weekend when I was my early 20s. I spent the weekend in 3 different jails because a deputy sheriff didn't like the way I looked. We had borrowed my granddad Ice's ski boat, and me and a buddy of mine that lived in the fourplex. He lived above us. We went up to Smithville Lake. Was going to spend the day on the lake, him and I. And we were young. I mean, he was a building maintenance man, and worked all night, slept all day, had weekends off, long hair. I mean, this is the 70s, 80s. This has been the 80s. Been the 80s. Anyway, he had long hair and everything. I was a young man. I don't even remember where I was working. Oh, we had a janitorial service, I believe. So I worked nights. And we were going to go up and go fishing. Well, this deputy sheriff didn't like the fact that I was in an old car that I was in the process of working on, and it was primer gray, and it was pulling a nice bass boat, and had these 2 punk-looking kids as far as he was concerned. And he pulled us over, and this was his words. He says, "I'm tired of you kids coming into my county and causing problems, and I'm going to stop it before it gets started." So he searched our car and did all this stuff. Well, he found my fish fillet knife because we were going fishing was on the back floorboard of the car. I was in a 19, I think it was a 1970 Chevelle, and on the back floorboard of this car was my fish. Had thrown the fishing stuff on the back seat, fishing pole, a couple of fishing poles, tackle box, and I just grabbed the fillet knife out of the kitchen drawer and just threw it on that back floor, the floor of the back seat. He found that knife, so confiscated it and charged me with carrying a concealed weapon, but didn't arrest me at the point. So we went ahead and went to the lake. Well, uh, and just spent our thing, pissed. I mean, our day was practically ruined just from the incident. Anyway, about a month later, roughly. Yeah, I'm trying to remember this the best that I can, so I'm sorry if I'm not exactly right. But about a month later, uh, the kids' mom and I were coming home from cleaning. From cleaning, we were coming home. We were heading home. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We got pulled over for uh, tail light being out, and there was a warrant for my arrest for carrying a concealed weapon. So they arrested me. I spent the weekend in three different jails. Every time they transported me from one jail to the next, the charges were changed. The last time when I was moved, because I was arrested, taken downtown, and then taken someplace else, and then I ended up all the way up in shoot, where was I? I was way up north of Kansas City. I was in Platte County. The Platte or Clay? I was in Clay County. Anyway, I ended up all the way up north. And the last time that they north in the county, because I was a deputy sheriff that arrested me, and or had filled out the paperwork, and since it was just charged by the deputy sheriff in the county, that's where I ended up. But anyway, that last time they moved me, they booked me on discharging a firearm within the city limits and threatening people. A whole bunch of bullshit. I mean, this thing was totally fucked up. Nobody knew where I was at. They kept moving me. It took them the all weekend for my wife and family to track me down to where I was at. Got me out, bailed me out. Anyway, I ended up suing the county for false arrest and a whole bunch of other stuff, and settled out of court. Everything was dropped, was settled out, and part of my because I didn't really, all I wanted was my name cleared, which it didn't end up happening. Uh, it still followed me for a longest time, but all I wanted was this deputy sheriff fired and banned from working within law enforcement within the state. That's all I wanted. And then all of my costs reimbursed. You know, I wanted to be back to square one. I didn't get back to square one. I was told the cop was fired, but I don't believe it. You know, he just probably, he might have been fired and went somewhere else. I never saw him again. He probably went someplace else in the state. But anyway, that was my incident, my bad incident with police. But I still respect them. But there are cops out there that are for the wrong reason. Oh, and what I was getting back to, this deputy, he went into law enforcement because he wanted the authority to be able to carry a gun. He failed the psych exam to become an MP in the military. The military police would not accept him because he could not pass the psychological exam. So what we do, we hired him for the police force, made him a deputy sheriff. All he wanted was authority and to carry a gun. He admitted that. He admitted that. Why did you become a police officer? I wanted the authority. I wanted the respect that it entitled me, and I wanted to be able to carry a gun and enforce the laws the way that I thought that they need to be. This was all stuff that he said in his deposition. And so there are cops that are cops for the wrong reason. There are teachers that are teachers for the wrong reason. I mean, there are politicians that are politicians for the wrong reason. There's always somebody that's doing something for the wrong reason, but we just have to hope that they don't make up the majority. But the teachers that are teaching for the right reason will not mind having cameras in their classroom.
Charlie, thank you so much for being here. I'm a school board member that actually homeschools my kids. Question is this. As a school board member, we can decline or approve curriculum, CRT curriculum. However, we can't do anything necessarily beyond that. How do we change the culture? How do we get the teachers to stop teaching this crap?
You want a creative idea?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Every classroom should have a camera in it that a parent can access at any time. Now, some people disagree.
I have never seen this. This was just posted December 11th. It was just posted today, guys. And I've been saying this. You can ask grandma. I've been saying this. We need cameras. I've been saying this for years. But for all this year, since they came back, the kids started going back to school. And I've still got grandkids. I've got a granddaughter that this is her senior year. And then I've got younger kids that are in school. When they came back from COVID and started going back in, I said, we need cameras in those classrooms. We need them in there.
Agree with this. I can drop my dog off at doggy daycare in Phoenix, Arizona, and I get a login on my iPad where I can watch my dog all day long. Like, oh, wow, they're treating my dog well. Why can't you do that for your kid in a classroom? Now,
That's
some
right.
conservative teachers disagree. They say, oh, it's only going to be used against conservative teachers. I don't agree with that.
No.
Parents, by the way, any teacher in general should be accountable by the taxpayers of that local area.
If you are afraid of having a camera in your classroom, then you do not have the self-confidence to be teaching, or you are teaching shit that you should not be teaching and behaving in a manner that you should not be behaving. Or, or you've got this new radical theory that I want to try this and prove a point, but I want to do it on the down low. I don't want anybody to see it. So I don't want camera. No, if you're doing your job the way it should be done, you're not going to be afraid of having a camera in your classroom. We had there was a school that I was at for a little while, and I'm apologizing because I don't remember where or when, but every classroom that actually the parents could come in at any time. All they had to do was go to the office, sign in, and say, I'm going to go sit and audit my child, and they wouldn't stop them. But we had I remember what it was now. We had a student in the class. I was in grade school, and we had a student in the class that was having some kind of family problem. Anyway, he was being disruptive. He was on the verge of being sent to juvie just for his behavior. So part of the parents had either one of the parents or had another family member spent the day with this kid in school and was in every class, just over monitoring, just to make sure that the kid was in the classroom, behaving appropriately. I think he might have been on some kind of medication. I'm not sure. And part of the school's thing was, okay, we don't want to be responsible for him if he's on this medication. We don't want him. And that the parent says, okay, we'll have somebody there to monitor him. That might have been part of it. But anyway, this child had an adult that spent the day with him, followed him, and when we went to class, the adult went over and sat someplace over in the corner out of the way, didn't interact, it just was like a fly on the wall. But they were there to make sure that that kid was doing what he needed to do, acting the way he needed to act, and I may have been monitoring for medication side effects. I don't know either, but anyway, that's what it was, and that was that whole semester. It seems like it was that whole semester. There was an adult that followed this child. So and I'm not saying every adult needs to have but cameras is where it's at.
Area. And some people then say, oh, well, it's going to be used for child exploitation. There's ways around this. You could have it just focused on the teacher. You could have logins just for parents. Like, let's think a little bit creatively and not just dismiss this. But here's the essence of it, is that they're employees of you. You pay their salary. And you have a moral obligation, a fiduciary obligation, a financial obligation, a taxpayer obligation to know teaching children in your local area. So yes, every single classroom in the country, and definitely in Oregon, should have a camera at the back of the classroom when they're teaching. We have cameras at all of our events, and it makes you prepare. It makes you be precise with what you say. It's called accountability. It makes all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm presenting to people. We're here to teach something. We're here to communicate. and it's open for the world to see, and that's exactly what needs to happen in classrooms. Now, the nature, or I would say the probability of that getting done is probably very low, but force the issue. Asking, how can you possibly be against this? Our dogs at doggy daycare, are they more deserving of transparency than our children? Ask them that question. That would be a wild clip to see. Thank you very much.
Bingo. Bingo. Cameras in the classroom, people.